So it is now my pleasure to invite Mr. Bert Fabian, who is the coordinator of the Secretariat for the EANET, to moderate the panel discussion on understanding the transboundary haze issue.
Thank you very much, Aurelia. Please, our panelists, if you can join me here on stage. I think we are having good discussions, especially with these new technologies, human rights. And in this session on transboundary haze, most of us in the room are experts. Most of us in the room are government officials who have already worked on this topic of air pollution for a long time. I myself have been working on this issue since I graduated from college. And I hope when I retire, we have relatively solved the air pollution problem. But it's a good hope. But let's see. What we wanted to do in this transboundary session is we have invited experts, but also some organizations who can help on this issue. And I realize that there are already many governments and organizations who are supporting this issue of transboundary haze, not only in Southeast Asia or Mekong, but also throughout Asia. We have Dr. Supat Wangwongwatana, who is Senior Advisor of the Thailand Environmental Institute. He has been working on air pollution for many, many years. He has received awards from the US, from Cleaner Asia, as a champion of air quality, and has been with us looking at this issue for a very long time. Mr. Brett Shields, who is coming from the Food and Agriculture Office, they're also doing a lot of work on this issue on agricultural waste burning, and we hope that they can also provide information on their analysis and investigations. Dr. Alexander Baklanov, recently retired from WMO, who is also now working with the University of Copenhagen, is working on understanding this interaction of meteorology, climate, and temperature increases. And we will hear from him regarding this project focusing on in Mekong. We will then have a representative from governments, Ms. Bounmany Soulideth from Laos, who hosted the adoption of the second roadmap for the haze agreement in ASEAN. And then we will have Ms. Itsuki Kuroda from MOEJ, who can tell us their plans in terms of trying to help support this. So without further ado, I would like this session to start with Dr. Supat, who will try to provide us with more information on the state of haze in Southeast Asia. Dr. Supat, your slides, I think we have it, and we can show it. Please, you have about 7 minutes.
Thank you, Bert. Good morning, everyone. I'm pleased to be invited to be here, and I have been asked to set the stage for this session by providing an overview of the state of ASEAN transboundary haze, both in the northern part and in the southern part of ASEAN. First of all, I'd like to acknowledge the ASEAN Specialized Meteorological Center, or ASMC, which is located in Singapore. And it is the institute or the center where, from where I get the raw data. And I use the data from ASMC, reorganize the data and put it into graphic form so that you can see better the situation on transboundary haze in ASEAN in the past 5 years, whether it's getting better or it's getting worse. I have both good news and bad news. The next slide, please. Yeah, I took the data from ASMC into aspects. First, the hotspot number detected by NOAA satellite. In the past, let's say 5 years, I don't get the data on 2023 for the whole year yet. But this gives you the picture of ASEAN. I divided into Southern ASEAN subregion and also Mekong subregion. On the left, you see the number of hotspots. It is the annual accumulated hotspot number by country reported in the ASEAN or ASMC, Malaysia, Philippines, and Indonesia. And you might expect to see very high hotspot in Indonesia, but in fact, it's getting less and less. In particular, in the year 2022, 2023, you won't see. In Indonesia 2023, you don't see anything yet because it's still early in the year, and hotspot will come later in the year in the southern part of ASEAN, which will be in around this month in the southern ASEAN. But you will see southern ASEAN sub-region, the hotspot number accumulated annually decline. But on the other hand, Mekong sub-region, we have 5 countries in Mekong. And you see the number of hotspots in each country. And the number is still pretty high. On the top, it is the indicator set by and target set by the Mekong sub-region country under the Chiang Rai Plan of Action. And you see it's still far away from achieving that indicator and target. So the total, you see the hotspot number, and you will then see the situation that in Mekong sub-region, hotspot number still pretty high. But in the southern ASEAN, situation is getting better. It's more or less under control. Next, please. Yeah, this compare the hotspot number between the upper part of ASEAN and the lower part of ASEAN, and you see the total different figure. The orange bar, that's the southern part of ASEAN. The blue one is the Mekong sub-region in the northern part. Very different number of hotspots in a year. Next, please. I'll be very brief. In the ASMC or ASEAN, they look at the transboundary haze issue by issuing alert level to divide it into 3 levels. Level 0 means no transboundary smoke haze. Level 1, whenever dry season starts, level 1 will be assigned. But level 2, the ASMC will look at the situation on hotspot number, doing the modeling and see the movement of the haze across the region. And whenever there is increasing risk of transboundary haze in the region, level 2 will be assigned on a country basis, for the 10 countries. And level 3 will be assigned when high risk of severe transboundary haze in the region. Next slide, please. This is also the data that I got from ASMC website, but we organize the information so that you will see the difference between Mekong sub-region and Southern ASEAN sub-region. On the x-axis is the number of days that alert level been assigned to, whether it's level 0, 1, 2, or 3. Let's look at Southern ASEAN sub-region first. You will see the bar, the histogram is year. alerts level 0 always high, because when you are out of the dry season, out of the haze season, then alert 0 will be assigned. So most of the day in the year, it been assigned as level 0. And you see level 1 in Southern ASEAN, it's more or less quite stable. Level 1 is whenever the dry season starts, alert level 1 will be assigned. So it's more or less doesn't change by year. But when you look at alert level 2 and 3 in the Southern ASEAN, the last 2 years, 2022 and 21, there is no alert 3, which is the high risk of transboundary haze. And the monitor data also show that the last 2 years of 21 and 22, no transboundary haze in the Southern ASEAN. But in the sub-Mekong region, you see plenty of alert 2 level and also alert 3. In particular, in the year 2021 and 2022, alert 3 come up, in particular into 2023. And why is that? You see the data. So in summary, I would say that the transboundary haze in the southern part of ASEAN is getting better and less problem. But in the Mekong sub-region, the problem is still there and getting more serious and serious. Next slide, please. This is in 2023, in 2023, the hotspot number from the NASA file, NOAA satellite 20, with the via sensor. You see in the northern part of ASEAN, starting from October of 2022, nothing, no hotspot. But when it's getting closer to December, we start to see many hotspots and much more, many more in early 2023, February, March, and even April, a lot of them distributed among the 5 countries in the Mekong sub-region. Next, please. Yeah, this is March 2566. That is 2023 in March, on 28th of March. Most of the area in Mekong sub-region covered with hotspot 5 from the ground. And the record on the same day, 28th March, in the upper north of Thailand, in Chiang Rai, the PM 2.5 concentration, I think hit the record high. Never been this high before in the past. More than 500 microgram per cubic meter on a daily concentration. Very high, and we have never seen that. So something wrong in 2023. And situation is getting better this year, early. Next. This is on February 3rd, 2024, this year. The circle that you see is the quality, air quality, in accordance with the air quality index in Thailand. The red color is it's quite high when it hit red color. On 3rd February, situation is still okay in the northern part. But once we get into March, next This is 2nd of April. The northern part become everywhere air quality in red colors. But when you look at the concentration is not as high as in 2023. I think one of the major factors is the meteorological condition, and something happened in the forest. I have also been asked to talk about source. I would say from the study that we have in Thailand, in the northern part of Thailand, source of PM 2.5 mainly come from fire, either forest fire or land fire. Land fire means fire in the agricultural sector. The biomass residue left after harvesting mostly will be burned. And forest fire as well. It's not wildfire, not natural fire. It's man-made fire. This is the information getting from the National Park Department. They said all the fire in the forest caused by human. It's either agricultural practice in the forest area. There are still, although it's not allowed, but a lot of people still doing agriculture in the forest area. And after harvesting, the residue being burned. The other type of forest fire is the real forest fire, ignited by human for hunting and also for some other use in the forest as well. There are some certain vegetable that you can only find in the forest, and they burn the ground in order to get those mushroom and other vegetable as well. So this is the overall summary of the situation of transboundary haze, the hotspot source. But when you look at Bangkok, in March, everything is okay. Air become blue. It's seasonal and come every year in the same pattern in this region, in the sub-Mekong region. If you want to live in Thailand, the best place with good air quality is in the southern part. You see all years round, air quality is in either blue, mostly blue. That even achieve interim target 4, I would say 4 of WHO in the southern part.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Dr. Supat. I just take note, I took note of this. The data from Chiang Mai, air quality or health admissions was 12,671. Admissions in the hospital in Chiang Mai. You have these new air quality clinics that you set up in Chiang Mai, January to March. But all of Thailand, it was 1.7 million. So you see the scale of the problem is already high, but still we are struggling to really address this issue of air pollution. But I take note also of a good news in Dr. Supat's presentation. The southern part of ASEAN, it used to be very high. The air pollution problem used to be very high, but now it's relatively under control. So it is not hopeless. One of the reasons why we are doing this is like unlock or dissect, like what did the governments, the stakeholders really did? What did they do? And how can we do this? But we will have now Brett Shields, who will give us more information on these sources, but also on the activities, projects that they're doing. Mr. Brett Shields.
Thank you. I don't want to be the person to bring us down to the ground, but I will be. I'm going to be talking about the cause, what's driving the air pollution. And I'm going to also probably create some new thinking, reviewing what we previously thought. I want everyone to go back and think what they previously thought 20 years ago, because it's not relevant today. We've had so many changes and so much movement in Southeast Asia. I'm also going to talk My work won't be on Central Asia, North Asia, West and South, so forgive me. My experience base is Southeast Asia. But to the other regions, and Pacific, I should say as well, to the other regions, the same principles are in place. Now, I'm a forester by trade and training. I specialize in fire management for 30 years. That's all I do, fire management. I'm with FAO in the Bangkok office running a small project. I've worked as a firefighter. I am a firefighter. I've spent 5 years in Indonesia, in the plantations. I have 3,000 firefighters working for me, and I would be with them in the field. I've worked with communities in Thailand, Laos, Cambodia. I spend time in the village, and I find out what are the people doing? Why do they do these things? What is their livelihoods? And we come right down to it. What drives human behavior? We hear humans are the fire igniter. They're also the fire stopper. So this is what I'll talk about. Next slide, please. What is the problem? We don't see wholesale communities, houses. The town of Paradise, 16,000 houses, I think it was, lost in one single fire in the USA. We don't see human death toll of people being trapped and caught in their cars fleeing a fire. This is not what we see in Southeast Asia. Next slide, please. This is what we see in Southeast Asia. We see fire being used by communities. We see fire being used by companies alike. Both are using fire. We don't see conflagrations of 20-meter tall flame. We don't see wholesale. When was the last time you heard of a house being burned in Southeast Asia? Yes, we have huge human health impacts. I go to a village and I speak with the community, and I get to join the women's meetings sometimes. I'm the odd one in the room. And I ask one question. I ask one question of the ladies. I ask, how many of you have lost a baby when in utero or newborn when it was smoky due to burning in the village? And I look at how many hands go up. Every village, there will always be hands from the ladies. Individually, personally, they have lost a child. In a 3-month, 4-month period during a dry season, in one country in Southeast Asia, 15,000 in utero and newborn baby in a 3-month, 4-month period. We need to be very personal about what is fire, what is the impact. And I encourage everyone to think like that. The message that I want to translate with those two sets of slides is what we see in Europe, in Australia, in North America, is not what we have in Southeast Asia. If we migrate solutions from one region to another, we can be promised to have a failing situation. We need to create and develop the right solutions for the right regions. So that's what I want to share. Next slide, please. You've all seen the numbers. 7 million deaths, 2 million in Southeast Asia. Agriculture and forest fire are significant contributors to these figures. There's no two ways about that. For those living in Thailand, and you read the Bangkok Post, we understand, and we saw from Dr. Supat, the migration of hotspots, north and south, east and west, as the northern monsoon, southern monsoon comes on. In southern ASEAN, and I agree 100%, southern ASEAN is very different. It's driven by El Nino. 2019 was a big season. I was there. 2015 was also a large season. Again, I was there. I was fighting the fires. In between, in 2016, I could sleep. I could have fallen asleep, not done a single thing, wouldn't have changed the hotspots. The wet season we didn't have a dry season. It was a wet, dry season. Same in 2017. 2018 increased a bit. 2019 came back to a strong El Nino. We will see those cycles continue. The factors driving fire use in southern ASEAN are different to the factors driving fire use in northern ASEAN. And we must remember that. These are every region has its own nuance. So we need to think about that. But agriculture and forest, both need to be considered. Go back 20 years ago, think when you were all young and handsome like I am. When did the Ministry of Agriculture get invited to a fire meeting 20 years ago? The Ministry Department of Agriculture in every country that I've worked in has not been invited to fire meetings. And I'll ask a question. How many of you here are from the Ministry of Agriculture versus Forest or Environment Department? I ask that question because it is telling of who we're bringing into the room. We need to bring agriculture and forest and conservation, everyone to the room together. Thinking about livelihoods and what is the fire problem. We talk about fire in Europe and North America. We have natural fire events. We are using fire here for livelihoods, traditional and cultural purposes. We're also using fire for commercial activities, for specific land use change activities. We need to appreciate and understand each of these. And we need to, in every situation, in every region, whether it's Central Asia, South Asia, or Southeast Asia, we ask ourselves, what is the underlying cause, the drivers of fire in each location? Next slide. Next slide, please. Okay, drivers. I'm a father. I'm sure many of you are parents as well. I have children. I have an aspiration for my children. That aspiration is that their lives are better than mine. Lo and behold, the villager in Laos, Cambodia, Indonesia, Malaysia, every one of those parents has exactly the same aspiration as I do, as we all do. This is a human driver. Now, if you are a subsistence farmer and you are living in one of these locations and you want to improve your next generation, you need to go to school. You need your children to go to school and to go to university. Many of these people are already doing so. To do that, you must pay money, cash. Subsistence farming doesn't create cash to pay for university. So you must transition your entire existence and livelihood from subsistence farming to a cash farming system. You must change. That's what modern society has brought about. They want a mobile phone, electricity in their home, to buy a car, pay for fuel, cash. We are losing the ability to enable subsistence farming. I understand that, but we must recognize that and then use that smartly, use that knowledge smartly. These farmers are doing that, and they've moved from subsistence to cash cropping. The farmers used to have maybe 7 plots they would go to as a traditional farmer. Now they move to cash cropping. They open up all 7 simultaneously. Oh, and the land in between. Suddenly, what was a small plot of land is now a large 10-hectare parcel of open landscape. This is what we see, the changing landscapes. Next slide, please. Going forward, the old ways of thinking. We need to think new ways. Previously, 20 years ago, fire was always considered, oh, it's the forest problem. Today, we are balancing agriculture and forest problem. And I'm pleased to hear that and see that. We must understand it's both landscapes. Gender roles in fire need to be reconsidered across all of Southeast Asia. We now have women firefighting teams, and it's fantastic to see. We now have mixed teams, which is fantastic to see. We have a patriarchal society in many of our countries. In the home, it's the matriarch that rules the home quite often. I want us to be able to engage with the matriarchs in these villages, in these communities, and I want us to understand their role in combating fire and then the air pollution that goes with that. I want us to think about the technology. We have fantastic technological solutions from GISTA, but I want to find out, how do we move that into the field? How do we actually translate that to action in the field? And then how do we properly incentivize people? Not theoretically, but actually at the ground, at the community. How do we provide alternatives. What's the balance of these alternatives? And I want us to be careful going forward. Don't grab a solution from another country, another region, and just plonk it into your own backyard. Think first, act second. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brett. The next presenter is Dr. Baklanov. But before he makes his presentation, I want to point out a few things. You will recall in the news as well, or maybe most of you have been monitoring this air pollution problem in northern Mekong or in Bangkok in general. There are times when there is haze, but there is no burning. No burning in the provinces or in the vicinity. So what caused this? What happened? So it's here, I think, is a mixture as well of the meteorological factors, but also emissions from urban areas causing haze. Dr. Baklanov, we requested, and let's see if he will be able to cover it. I know it's a short time. You will have about only 7 minutes to discuss, so we can open up also for discussions. But let's try to see if this can be addressed. And I understand there is a project following up on this together with our colleagues from JZ. Dr. Baklanov, please.
Thank you. Maybe I'll start from issue what Brett just mentioned. It is really important, and WMO worked in this area for quite many years, and now we built what we call vegetation, fire, smoke, pollution warning advisory system. One of the centers for this region is situated in Singapore. But in comparison with other areas, it is definitely not only wildfires. And forecasting system is helping, especially nowadays. We are also focusing on seasonal and subseasonal forecast. It is important, of course, to see fire danger. But from other side, of course, first of all, strict law and also regional solutions on national and regional level is absolutely necessary for Asia. Now I'm moving to my focus, what I thought to consider here. We already discussed what urban issues are very important. First of all, pollution is concentrated a lot in urban areas, especially in Asia. But from other side, we provide a new concept for extending atmospheric pollution assessment and forecasting to integrated systems and services for sustainable urban cities. Next slide, please. Here, I just will analyze a bit modern evolution of research and also, okay, perfect. And also development in this urban air quality monitoring system to future multi-hazard early warning systems and also integrated climate, urban climate and environment systems. So this the concept what WMO is developing, and also we started in Europe even earlier in this. So first of all, we need to consider what hazards are different for urban environment, and we need to consider full spectrum of hazards and risk. Of course, air quality is the main focus, but not only local urban sources are important. We just thought about wild and not only wild vegetation, fires and smoke, and also sun and dust storms, and many others. But from other side, different events and provides a kind of domino effect when single extreme event provide a chain of interactions with city infrastructure, and we really need to consider this problem in close relation, especially nowadays when we are meeting this climate change problem. Here just some historical steps, how it was developed. And of course, first of all, in Europe, we put efforts for urban air quality forecasting. And I think it's still very important task for Asian cities and for multi-scale issues. In one of the projects, we started moving from just air quality assessment, integrating with meteorology, because meteorology uncertainties for urban areas is one of the main for air quality forecasting in megacities. So this is one of the scheme what was done, and it was realized in many cities, in particular in Europe. You can see here, FOMAPEX project was focusing on 6 cities in Europe, and such forecasting information and air quality system was tested there. The next phase was for integration also with climate change. Paris, London, Po Valley, and rural area in Germany were considered. And of course, WMO also focusing on many different aspects for such systems. Next step was moving from air quality for urban areas to multi-hazard early warning system, including also other type of hazards. And one of the good example in Asia was done for Shanghai. And here you can see the scheme of such system. Now it's extended. And further evolution was even further from air quality information and forecasting systems and multi-hazard early warning system in urban areas to integrated urban weather, climate, and environmental system and services. And this is the concept what WMO is suggested, and it is requested by our sustainable development goal, first of all, for sustainable cities. And this concept is focusing, first of all, on increasing resiliency with multi-hazard early warning system, and also for long-term planning and interaction with climate. Because urban areas are responsible from one side for climate change, because 70% of CO2 emissions are from cities. And from other side, they are very vulnerable to climate change and also atmospheric pollution. So this problem should be considered in complex manner. Many cities in Asia already have very good experience in realization of such system. Here you can see some good practice, what also in volume 2 of this guidance for integrated urban services, what WMO published, analyze. And in Asia, it's Shanghai, Beijing, Hong Kong, Delhi, Singapore are good examples. And here you can see one example how it works, both for air quality monitoring and forecasting for extreme weather, and also for climate projections and planning of future urban climate smart urban cities. An example of Hong Kong. So, and now we are starting also a new project together with WMO, GIZ, and Thailand Meteorological Department for integrated urban climate, weather, and environmental systems for climate smart and resilient cities for Thailand cities, and especially choose some cities where also pollution is extremely high, and we need to combine this approach with integrated systems. And of course, many other cities and countries welcome to initiate, and we would be happy to help in this direction. And of course, if some information, welcome to see in the references. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Baklanov. That was very clear. Also, that last slide where you look at the 3 cities that they're looking at, right? Maybe this is good to emphasize. Transboundary doesn't mean only international transboundary. Within the context of the country, transboundary issues are also very important, and especially in the case of Thailand, you can see how much the north influences air pollution in the south, vice versa. And this will happen always. We look forward to the results of this study, and perhaps maybe I also take note of this. I just remembered the experience of California. There was an expert, used to be a regulator in California, that said they had to do a lot more studies, integration of these climate, weather, environment systems, because apparently the topographical, meteorological situation of California is very difficult, and they have to implement more policies in order to reduce air pollution. So probably we will see more of these situations in the future if we are facing changes in weather, frequency of forest fires, etc. Now we have Bounmany from Laos. Laos hosted the adoption of the second roadmap of the transboundary haze agreement in ASEAN. I asked her specifically to tell us what they need, what they want. If you can focus on these things, Bounmany, thank you very much.
Appreciate for the introduction. Thank you very much for invite Laopedia to be here. We have a big hope to be here to have an action and implementation. So you can see that the first of ASEAN haze-free roadmap has been adopted since 2016 and 2020. You can look at carefully between these. So last year, 2023, August, has been endorsed in Laopedia in Vientiane. So you can see these two roadmap has very important policy side. You can see carefully on the first roadmap that the first strategy, the priority strategy is focused on the peatland fire management, okay? And then it was achieved or successful by the south part of ASEAN, as Dr. Supat mentioned. And for the second ASEAN roadmap has been focused on the strategy of forest fire sustainable strategy. You can look at it if you can download it in the strategy 3. So this one is Mekong sub-region or North ASEAN is very happy because we hope that all the investment fund will come to our Mekong sub-region, that we are facing the smoke haze during the Lao New Year or Songkran New Year during the March or April. It's very serious issue in our region. So you can see that the second, the first ASEAN investment framework has been has clear on the implementation action developed from the second ASEAN haze-free roadmap. These two documents is very important. Come back to the national issue in Laopedia. We are facing crisis during 2019, and we are facing again in 2023 after the COVID. So we have some important documents from the Prime Minister office, especially last year. We have the order from the Prime Minister on the number 11, focus on the forest and substation on the ground. And this is some important documents. So this is the ninth strategy of the second roadmap that we have been endorsed. You can focus on the strategy number 3. It's very important, and I believe that this is the key successful that we are fostering the air pollution or the haze issue during the dry season. This is the ASEAN investment framework. You can see in detail and the activity of the implementation of the roadmap, and ASEAN member states, especially for the Mekong member state, are looking for funds to do the implementation in order to contribute to achieve the roadmap. And here are some action at the beginning of this year. So we have a very collaboration between the member country. We call the joint plan of action, or we call Clear Sky strategy. So the Clear Sky strategy is 2020 on 2030. So we consist of the 5 implementation, especially on the study number 3, sustainable agriculture management has been launched and has been implementing in Lao PDR, especially in the North Province. Maybe you can know it in the Bokeo Province, and in Thailand will be implemented in Chiang Mai, Chiang Rai, and in Myanmar will be in the Thakilek. So this junction has been the first priority to do the sustainable agriculture management. So the second one for Lao PDR is to develop the clean air plan. So this one is very important for the government to to prioritize the target or the area to clean the plan. As we has already conducted some research, the 5 vegetation is the first priority for Lao PDR to do some mitigation. And the third project, so far we have territory transboundary haze air quality management that now we bring 20 government officers from the central government from Monterey to study tour in Thailand. So they are still doing some site visit in Bangkok, and another partner that we are going to conduct some important stakeholder mapping is very important for us as well to find out the key sector that we have to working together. This is the key achievements. So yes, thank you very much. I think my presentation has been aimed.
Thank you very much, Bounmany. I think we are lucky in a way, I mean the ASEAN, because there are so many groups, organizations willing to support ASEAN to address this issue. We have invited the Ministry of Environment Japan representative to take part in this in this panel, because in EANET, it's composed of 13 countries, 5 countries in Northeast Asia, 8 developing countries in Southeast Asia. And Japan has been one of the countries in Northeast Asia that has been supporting many of these activities, many of the countries for quite some time in order to help other countries. EANET's activities has been focused more on supporting national government officials, training, monitoring capacities, particularly on acid deposition and air pollution or air pollutants in general. In the ASEAN-Japan meeting last December, this is the 50th anniversary. There was indication that Japan would like to support ASEAN through EANET in addressing this issue of transboundary haze. Perhaps from the perspective of bilateral or donor organization, we ask Ms. Suki Kuroda to expound more of your plans or activities in terms of addressing this issue. Ms. Kuroda.
Thank you very much. Good morning, colleagues. I'm Suki Kuroda. I'm Technical Officer from MOEJ. And until end of March, I was the person in charge of chemicals and also mercury. But since April, my role covers not only chemicals and mercury, but also air pollution, water pollution, and plastic pollution. It is really diverse. It is a lot of work. But pollution issues all interrelated, so I found it very rewarding to have these opportunities. And although I've led small mercury air monitoring program in MOEJ in the past until end of March, air pollution is quite new to me, since when you say air pollution, it's much more comprehensive rather than just looking at the mercury. So I was really looking forward to participate in this program because it covers all the issues, like very comprehensive issues. So, and I've already learning a lot for past 2-3 hours. So I would like to learn more, and I'm really looking forward to learn more for the this afternoon and also tomorrow. And personally, my master was about engineering and remote sensing. So Mr. Pakon's from GIS TDA's presentation was really interesting to me. And given that the limited time, I will be really straightforward. MOEJ, as just Bart has explained, would like to assist the implementation of those countries that are interested in enhancing scientific basis, including monitoring and analysis of haze, by accessing one of the available financial mechanism. And the reason behind of our interest stems from, as Bart explained, the joint vision statement of ASEAN-Japan friendship and cooperation was agreed last year. And also this February, there was UNEP resolution that states to promote regional cooperation on air pollution to improve air quality globally. And I myself negotiated this resolution, and it includes EANET as the regional hub of Asia-Pacific region. And so those two helps encourage to support technical and policy exchange on air pollution control, especially haze pollution through EANET. And since EANET had networking center in Japan, and Japan has been consistently contributing to its activities, and haze pollution is particularly singled out in this ASEAN-Japan this statement and in its implementation plan. Therefore, we are keen to support haze-free roadmap implementation by using the knowledge and the experience of EANET. Yes, next slide, please. And actually, all the information was included in other speakers' slides, so I didn't really put much effort into my slide because it was just, I didn't want to embarrass myself. Everything is covered in the previous speaker's presentation. But opening session and also Dr. Hinwood's keynote speech and previous sessions are very relevant. All economic and social and environmental losses incur a huge cost directly and indirectly. And science is very clear, but the issue is what I understand from the past presentation is the implementation. So translating such cost of inaction into benefits as air pollution management could create opportunities to enhance the access to financial mechanism to support actual implementation. And when it comes to financing air quality management or the solution for the air pollution, the starting point is to develop bankable project, capitalizing on the multiple benefits, not only limited to core benefits to climate change, but also to health, biodiversity, gender and vulnerable population, and natural disasters, and etc. And I myself actually attended Biodiversity Convention Sabusta last week, and air pollution was already on the topic because it causes harm to biodiversity. So combination of all multiple benefits would be really important, especially to access to financial resources. And the previous speakers, I've also learned that the Mekong sub-region is having the problem, and it's still there, and it's getting worse. And also, other presenters importantly noted that creating right solution to right region, not to just copy one solution to another, is really important. So just addressing the knowledge and experience of EANET would be just a science, and we have to be more careful to tailor the project that fits each region's needs. And I'm glad that I really appreciated that I learned that aspect from this session. So how are those science being developed to be beneficial for use in those communities? We have to talk closely with the relevant stakeholders and also the countries, possibly communities, to develop such projects. But as I said in the beginning, we would like to really assist to develop the project to help not just the science, but the actual implementation by enhancing the access to the financial mechanism. so that not only science will be discussed, but we can actually support the implementation. And since I can see all those relevant stakeholders in this session, I'm looking forward to talking with all the colleagues during the coffee break or lunch session, or possibly after this working group, to discuss more in details about how we can develop actually really beneficial and also ideal projects that would help to address the haze pollution. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kuroda. I think we have some more time. Maybe we can take 1 or 2 questions while you are thinking of your questions. We only have 1 hour lunch later. And then we will have a good session talking about finance. Of course, financing is always one of the key things we need to look at, air quality management. And then we have a few more sessions in the afternoon and reception. So please, this is my first time to be with a firefighter, with a meteorologist, with seasoned government officials and experts. Sang-min, please.
Thank you. Quick question to Dr. Supat. I am a frequent user of the data on this hotspot, but I couldn't find out the definition of hotspot. So what is the scale of a fire and how would you define this hotspot here? And to our colleague from Lao PDR, so what is your process for developing the action plan on clean air that you mentioned? Thank you.
The hotspot, the definition of hotspot, it's actually the heat detected on the ground by the satellite. And the satellite that ASMC use is the NOAA 20 satellite. And the resolution is good because it with via sensor compared to the previous one, the MODIS sensor, which is 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer. That's very rough. But for the via sensor, it's 350 by 350. So it's higher resolution to identify. But it's still, there are some hotspot which might not be fire. For example, the light from the roof, that also can be detected. But now the sensor from the satellite is detecting heat from the ground. Yeah. And once it detects 350 meter by 350, it considered that as a spot, big spot. Big spot. It would be better if it will be, the burn area will be used instead. But the satellite detecting burn area not coming very often. It's only probably 5 days to 15 days. So the time resolution is not as good as NOAA or Equatora, which come for each satellite twice a day. It's only twice a day. So the 2 satellite, MODIS, Equatora, give 4 reading in a day. But for the NOAA as well, also come twice a day. So it doesn't really give real-time reading, and not even during nighttime as well. Thank you.
Dr. Supat, I think Brett would like to add something on the hotspots.
If I can, update what is happening. Yes, you're correct, Dr. Supat. MODIS and VIRUS satellites only every 12 hours. And they are at 1 kilometer and 370 kilometers resolution. Germany and USA are launching 2 new satellites, constellations, in the coming years. Germany will be the first one. It's a group called Aurora Tech, private company. I do apologize, not for free. But there can be negotiations made. It will be a 200-meter resolution, and it's moving the first constellation every 3 hours, moving to every 30 minutes. There will be a return frequency across the entire globe every 30 minutes. That will get to that point 2027, 2028. Another team in USA, California, Muon Space, launching similar low Earth orbit satellites with a 20-minute return frequency target. So in the next 5 years, we will have an enormous amount of data. We need to prepare ourselves for that potential.
Thank you. Thank you. This is good information. Bounmany, on the process for the Lao Clean Air Plan.
Yeah, thank you very much for your interest in the developing of Clean Air Plan. Now our reader of Ramondre have been approved to develop the Clean Air Plan, and we are in the progress of the improving of the project framework. So hopefully we will start the Clean Air Plan very soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry, we will have to stop here. Otherwise, I will eat your time for lunch and we will have to start later. But as always, the lunch, please feel free to interact, ask more about, and we will have plenty of opportunities over the next 1.5 days.